Now, our next speakers are Dr. Ken and Myra Mcknight, and they have an awesome topic, staying out of the conflict zone. We don't want to be there.
Now, I know this is a topic that all couples can relate to. Every relationship has its own set of dynamics. Therefore, you and your partner have to find the click that does it for you. When you find it, you'll truly experience love from a different level, no matter how long you've been together. So for the past decade, Dr. Ken and Myra have enjoyed meeting and encouraging couples into healthy relationships without using the blame game, but the commitment of ownership, love, and respect for their partner and the institution of marriage. They've interviewed over 1,000 men and women about their thoughts on relationships in their community, and they're praying to build a closer relationship with the church community for real talk. And they want to be able to discuss ways to strengthen the families and their household relationships for a brighter future. They've been blessed to work with adolescents. They work with couples, families from all walks of life, including celebrities, politicians, and professional athletes. Everyone, join me in welcoming none other than Dr. Ken and Myra Mcknight.
Hi, my name is Dr. Ken Mcknight, and this is my beautiful wife, Myra Mcknight.
Yes, hello.
And we're the founders of Better One, Better Two Relationship Academy and Empowerment Center here in Atlanta, Georgia. And today our topic, we're going to talk about staying out of the conflict zone.
Yeah.
So pretty much, staying out of the conflict zone it's all about, how you present yourself,
Mm-hmm.
how the presentation, your words,
Right.
Your words matter. So, the way your tone and how you communicate with your partner will all lead up to you staying out of the conflict zone. All right.
Yeah. And I want to elaborate more on it. Conflict zone we work with our couples is that safe space. That space where you're not turning your back against each other. That space where you're not ghosting out, going downstairs to your man cave or upstairs into the study. It's about staying together. Most of our couples, everybody goes through this. Everybody, you find out that you're irritated about something, but what we do most of the time is what we try to do is to analyze what the conflict is. Is it worth it? Is it a deal breaker? Is it something that's going to cause the night to just bust? So you do have to analyze the situation, because just because you didn't put the dishes in the dishwasher doesn't mean that you ghost out and then you're not talking to each other. Those are conflict areas. And, would you say, honey, we just try to make sure that we solve it. Right. If it's something to be solvable, and then we address it. Oh, you good on, it might be something on the weekend. And then you say, are you good on Wednesday? Are we good? You give a kiss, pat on the butt, and then we're back in business again. Yeah. But,
and I just want to add too, honey, another technique that you can use to stay out of the conflict zone is in your relationship, be proactive. Right. And what I mean by that is be proactive is have a time where you can just sit and talk and ask those questions, the what if questions, scenarios that you may run into that are kind of maybe out of the box, or something you never occurred in your relationship. And if you can attack it in a nice conversation, civil conversation, and say, hey, what if just to give you an example, what if my family member wanted to borrow $500? Would you be upset? Would you want me to ask you first before lending that person that money? Or do you want to have a say-so? So little things like that can help you avoid being in a conflict zone. Because remember, as couples, we think differently, right. We talk differently, and we act differently. Right. So in order for you guys to become one and stay on the same page on a lot of things, to prevent for you staying out of that conflict zone, it's good to have just, over, some watching a movie or a quiet time or pillow talk. and just asking questions, and the what if questions, and that will help alleviate a lot of times you staying out of the conflict zone. And that advice is for new couples and couples who've been married for a while.
Right, absolutely. And we talk a lot of our couples too about 3 circles, and that is the me circle, the you circle, and the us circle. And the me circle and the you circle, that's us. What's going on with him affects the us circle. What's going on with me affects the us circle. So, one of our tagline is a better person is a better partner. So if I'm working to be better, if I'm working to be my best that God has given me to be, and he's working his best, then what's going to happen in that, as we talk about, you're going to gain more listening skills. You're going to be more patient. You're going to be more caring. And as we said to our couples the other day when we were on a virtual session, is that everybody wants to be, understand me. He doesn't understand me. She doesn't understand me. Well, to stay out the conflict zone, what you got to do is, more so than being understanding for you, try to be that person that understands that other person. Then you are going to reciprocate being understood. So instead of just looking out to, I want you to understand me. Well, look at it from a different perspective. I have to look at it for understanding him, and he has to understand me. And together, then we're going to beat that part of the conflict that comes in.
Yeah, honey, and just to piggyback on what you're saying, one of the things that we always talk about as well is, when you have a conflict, looking through the other person's lens. Right. We tend to always want to look through our lens when solving the conflict, and so when you do that, you're looking at it one-sided. You're not looking at it through the lens of your partner, trying to get understanding. So when you look at it through the lens of your partner instead of your own, then that will help a lot of couples stay out of that conflict zone as well, too.
That going back and forth. Yes. And, we give our couples a lot of little exercises to do, and making sure that what you bring in from the me that you're taking into the you is going to be credible. It's going to be something that you want to enjoy, not something that's going to devalue the relationship. And that's another thing that keeps us in a conflict zone, when that partner feels devalued. And words matter. Your words and your tone keeps you out of the conflict zone. The words like you need to, you ought to, why can't you, you should, you better. Those things as adults, as humans, you can't say those particular things. You can't put those kind of adjectives in there, because it causes a problem all the time. What we tell our couples to do once a week or so is to ask each other, what can I do for you today? Yeah. That's very simple. What can I do for you today? Because when you do that, you're offering yourself to your partner. And when Ken asked me that, it might be a drink of water. It might be, some ice. It might be anything. And then again, it might not be anything right now. But when you get into the habit of doing that, that helps you stay out the conflict zone, because you're not feeling devalued. You're not feeling overwhelmed. You're starting to feel like, oh, she really cares, or he really cares. Right. That's a big deal. Right. And another thing, we asked them about the autopilot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the autopilot. And we've been doing that 15 years about the autopilot. That keeps you out the conflict zone as well, putting your relationship on autopilot.
Right. You don't want to, a lot of, I guess we won't go in detail about it, the story.
Well, we can go in detail. We can tell them. We got time.
Okay, go ahead. You do it.
You want me to do it?
Yeah.
The autopilot is that if you were in a plane and you were going to Amsterdam, you're across the waters, the Atlantic, and wherever you're going, and then the pilot comes back and he says, well, Mr. and Mrs. Knight, I'm glad you guys are riding with us, and sit back, chill, have a Coke, and we're going to get there soon. But what the pilot does is the pilot goes and takes a nap. And to dismay, you're wondering what the heck is going on. Mm-hmm. But the pilot is chilling. Right. And he's like, all good. And you go back and you say, why are you back there? Who's manning the plane?
Right, who's flying the plane, right.
And the pilot says, nobody. The plane is on autopilot. And we asked our couples, well, how do you feel about that? And they say, I don't like that. well, if you don't like that, why you don't like that? Because it's no turbulence right now and all is good.
Right.
And so you ask the couple, it's like, okay, what does he need to be there for? In actuality, he needs to be there because he needs to do what? He needs to man the plane.
Right. He needs to watch the gauges.
Absolutely.
He needs to make sure that nothing comes in the obstructive of the plane.
Right.
So, monitor all the gauges and stuff like that, just in case. So we use that analogy a lot, just to show you that in relationships, we tend to sometimes put our relationship on autopilot.
Absolutely.
And when you put your relationship on autopilot, you can run into being in a conflict zone because you're not, checking in with your partner. You're not checking in to see if, what can you do for them today? You're not checking in to see, what else are some of the stressors are going on the job right now? Are you okay? Do you need to change jobs? Is there something else that you want to do in life?
Right.
So we always have to check in, because if you don't check in and check on the gauges of your relationship, one day you may come home and you left a shoe in the middle of the floor. You think it's a shoe, but it's something else.
Right. It's something else.
Yeah. So just having that daily, well, not daily, but that regular check-in with your spouse on a regular basis, checking how they're doing, any, new developments, any new things that they want to do in life, because people as adults, we do change.
Right. Absolutely.
I've changed in the past 10 years.
You see the gray hair.
Just making sure that your partner is okay on a regular basis. Those are some of the things that, you also can do to stay out of the conflict zone and keep your marriage, as they say, marital bliss.
Yeah.
You want to be able to, have a relationship where when you come home, it feels like your sanctuary. And you can create that.
Right.
But you have to have the right tools. You have to put in the work. It does take work, but I always say it's fun work.
Yeah.
The reason why I say it's fun work is because when you look towards surprising your spouse with gifts, or coming home with, if she likes smoothie, out of the blue, you just stop by on your way from work and bring her a smoothie, that puts a smile on her face or his face. So just doing the little things to keep your marriage going and spice, you can create the marital bliss. And then one other thing,
That's okay. Go ahead.
Okay. One other thing I like to talk about too is, everybody asks, they want to know what the secret is. What's the secret? What's the secret sauce? And my take on that is the secret sauce is, all right, I'm gonna give this to you, because normally people pay us thousands of dollars for this advice. I'm just joking.
Really?
But the secret, I'm telling you, the secret sauce to a healthy relationship is there's a cycle. You're gonna fall in love, you're gonna fall out of love. But the secret is, when that happens is, all right, listen closely. When that happens is, you got to make your partner on a consistent basis romantically fall in love with you all over again. Those same things that you did in the beginning, you got to rejuvenate that. You got to stir, as they say, stir the pot up. You got to do that. And if your partner's change, you got to find out what the change is and make that person fall in love romantically in love with you again with the new things that they love. That's the secret. And if you can do that, put in the work, I can guarantee you will have a successful, wonderful marriage. When I say that, even if you have conflicts, they will kind of subside themselves, because now mentally they're thinking about how you made them feel.
That's important. Yeah. And you're right, babe. That's a big deal. How you feel, and men and women are different, and can be in the clinical side, and I'm the other side, is that men and women feel different. Women are they're emotionalized, and so us being not being talked to, or not being shown that we are this very most important entity in the life of our husbands makes a big difference. You might not see anything, but then what it does, if you're feeling that way, it puts you in a conflict zone, because then you're moving away from him because you're not feeling valued. And that's why conversation, having fun, not putting on autopilot, there's so many little bitty things that you can do to reduce that space, because that conflict space, you want to be in it like that and out, because you're going to have some issues where there are some concerns and you have to talk about it, and you're not going to like something or how it's said or whatever, but you got to make sure that I'm not talking about days, I'm not talking about hours. You got to make sure immediately that you get out the comfort zone. However you got to do it. You got to realize, if we stay here and we're talking now and we start to elevate, if we keep going, we're going to go off the cliff. And then this is Friday night, I don't get to go nowhere. I can't even go to dinner, Loving has stopped and hugging has stopped and all of that. So it's actually not worth being in that space. Staying out of the conflict zone allows you an opportunity to talk and laugh a lot. That's extremely important when you're laughing a lot, because when the conflict is there, what happens? Most times couples are not dealing with the conflict. They are shooting each other and the conflict is still there. So you got to make sure that you're addressing the issue that's at hand, and that you don't devalue your partner when your partner brings it to you. That's extremely important as well.
Yeah, and I wanted to address this also. I get this question a lot. What is a healthy relationship? A healthy relationship is not being totally conflict free. That's, I don't prescribe anybody to strive for that. There is no such relationship, even with us, as a conflict-free relationship. But a healthy relationship is when you are able to have conflicts in your relationship and be able to resolve them and implement good resolutions that you can have, that you both can agree on and move forward in a relationship.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. You got to have them. They're going to come, and there's always something you got to do, and sometimes it's multiplied. And you got 4 things on the burner. You got to solve them all. You got to fix them all, but you have to do it, because if you don't, you sweep it up on the rug, and I guarantee you it'll come back on the next issue that might come up. So that also is a part, and that's where the boundaries and things like that come in. That's where conversation comes in. Staying out of the conflict zone. If I'm overwhelmed and I'm doing a bunch of things and he's doing a bunch of things and he needs something from me, then we need to say, okay, I can do that, but when I finish this, I'll get it done. Or can we do it another day? We also tell our couples sometimes to do a check-in. I know when we got married years ago, Ken used to do one. You do one every week?
I do about every 6 months now.
Now you do it every 6 months, every 16 months maybe. But we do a check-in, and the check-in is always 3 things, okay? It's, how things going, how am I doing? You ask that question. And it's either you're doing better, you're doing good, or you're doing great. It's never anything negative at all. If your partner is doing better, let them know that. Don't devalue their efforts. That keeps you out the conflict zone. If your partner is doing good, let them know that. If your partner is great, you should be screaming to the top of the hill. Right. But better, good, or great. Because, and don't elaborate on it. Just let them know how good they're doing. And that just kind of keeps things on the right trajectory for the relationship, because we work together. And as a couple, it has to sing. It actually does. It has to sing. And it has to be like that river flowing that God has going, that stream of water. That's kind of how your relationship should go. You'll have some bumps. You might hit a rock every now and then, but you have to focus on the goal. And the goal is maintaining a healthy relationship with you and your partner. Yeah.
Did we cover everything?
I don't think so, but we covered a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. And I'm thinking that what about free? Oh, definitely. We're going to get to that. Definitely. I wanted to say that part of the relationship, whereas you have to be transparent, definitely, and totally naked. And I'm just saying it from a figurative position that that's what I wanted to say. I know, hats off. That's the other one. And then we're going to talk about prayer. Hats off. And what we mean by hats off is that when you leave your job, hats off. That means when you get in your car, you melt yourself down. And before you turn that key in that door, hats off. We've had marriage therapists. We've had doctors and psychologists and attorneys, all kinds of people who have these heavy burden jobs. And what they do is they do this for 10 to 12 hours, and then they continue it when they come home.
Yes.
You know, and so we'll have an attorney tell one part of the couple to say, I'm not your client. I'm not your patient. I'm not your customer, because we haven't taken off that hat. And so that's a part that we say hats off. You know, when you get home, de-escalate your drive time, that key go on the door, you are totally transparent and naked, because you are walking now into your safe zone. And so the ultimate thing that is ultimately what we have to do in the first beginning is building our relationship. And that relationship is truly with God. And I'm going to let the doctor talk about that one. Okay. That's his favorite too.
Yes. You know, we try to, because we work with couples with a lot of different religious backgrounds. So I try to keep it universal. And one of the things that I convey to what we convey to our couples is prayer and meditation. It's like that an intangible and invisible spirit that infiltrates your relationship and kind of keeps you together when you can't figure everything out on your own. You're leaning on a power that's more powerful than you, more smarter than you, and more omnipresent than you. So we always ask our couple to pray for one another, and when they can have a moment to pray and meditate together as a couple, have time set aside for that. So I don't want to make sure we get that in there as well.
That was going to come in. We had to come in because that's the nucleus. Right. That's that third strand. That's the nucleus that keeps us going. I remember we had we work with a lot of pastors and leaders, and one said, well, you know, I was like, do you want the real talk version, or you want the other version?
Right.
You want to skip the Bible out? Because we can do that too. Right. And he's like, no, I want the real talk version. and that's only because we're human beings. Right. And we don't go pull the scriptures and the Bibles out when we're mad. And staying out of the conflict zone helps you not to be mad and angry and temperamental. It puts you in that safe space. And the scriptures that we work with, actually the chapters of the Bible that we work with are Ecclesiastics, Proverbs, Psalms, and Songs of Solomon. And you know, we work with our couples in that vein, because we want them to know that God has given you the open door and the opportunity to be the best you can be to your partner, and vice versa. So, you know, we hope that we can't give you all the tips, because we'll be here all night. It's like 15, 16 years of a whole bunch of stuff. Right. But we just want you to know that you're not alone. Right. In how you feel. And all couples go through a whole lot of things. There are hanging fruit everywhere. They're landmines, and we talk about landmines all the time. Yeah, they're landmines, and there's some. And if you're not walking hand in hand together with God guiding you, then what happens is that you're going to step on that landmine. Right. And if you do that, then what's going to happen is, and if you do that, you're not together, then wow, you're just going to blow. And it's too hard to recover back from that when you're not paying attention to the soil of the relationship. Right. And I know that that's biblical about the rocky soil and the good soil and the bad soil, and you have to create good soil in your relationship. Yeah. That's extremely important. You talk a lot about outside forces.
Yeah, definitely. So anytime that anywhere you are in your relationship or in your marriage as a couple, there are going to be outside forces that are looking in and they're saying, wow, I want that. But sometimes, instead of going and getting their own,
they actually want that.
They want a piece of whatever side that they want. So just be mindful of that. There are going to be outside forces, and just don't fall into the trap. It's out there. But I always say too, in retrospect of that your relationship, that's your ministry. Just Absolutely. Being a married couple, because you can influence others in your community, to say, hey, that I do want to be like that couple. Right. I do want to have a marriage like that. And they may pull you aside and ask you some questions, or invite you to a breakfast or something like that. And just, you share your ups and downs and how you made it through. Yeah. So your marriage is your ministry. So don't think that people are not watching, but they are.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. And piggyback what you said, babe. Yeah. People want to know how you do it. Well, a lot of times, and any couple can say that you haven't walked in our shoes, so you really don't know. Mm. And we say the DNA of every relationship is different. Right. Every couple's DNA, right. Marriage DNA is different. Right. We're different than anybody. So we tell them not to try to emulate people that you see, right. Or your parents, because it's not consistent. Mm-hmm. You have to build your own marriage, and you have to build it with God in it. You have to build it from that point. Right. Take out what's good of the other relationships, and then add your own. Be creative. We have couples we had a nurse that worked 12 shifts, but the husband was at home and he cooked and cleaned and took care of the kids. And back in the day, that could not have happened. But today, if it's okay with them, then it's okay with the marriage. Right. And God is approving that oneness that you have, that respect and that honor that you have with each other, and showing him who he is to you in your heart, and him showing you vice versa. And I think that, this is all about conflict. Somebody might think it's hard to do, but the marriage is not hard. And people say, oh, marriage is so difficult. It's so difficult. But what's difficult is not the marriage. What's difficult are the people. It's us.
And all not to cut you off, babe, but it also depends on your level of commitment. True. How committed are you to your marriage? And what I mean by that, I try to use a lot of sports analogies. If you look at all the championship teams that have won championship, it was because of the level of their commitment. Right. And that's in practice, and then that's after the games, during the games, just a level of commitment. Right. And you got to have that same mentality going into your marriage. It is all about teamwork. Sure. And what I mean by that as well is some days you may be pulling 60%, your spouse is pulling 40%, right. And it might be flip. But as long as you're committed to the marriage, to the relationship, you will get through anything.
Tell them about the what we talk about with the if we're in the locker room and we just had an argument, and Team Mcknight is going for the championship. Right. That's a good one.
So so we share this one with our couples as well too. So if let's just say we're Team Mcknight, and it's halftime, and my wife, we have a disagreement. But it's halftime and we're in the locker talking about a disagreement, but now halftime is almost over and we got to go back out there and play the game. We're not going to talk about the conflict. We're going to go back out there and try to win the game and win the prize, that prize money that comes with winning the game. Mm-hmm. So little analogies like that, it's the same thing in marriage. You may have a conflict in your marriage, and it may not get solved right away, but you have to go out and attend to the kids. You got to be there for your kids. You got to be there for your family. You got to be there for your employer if you're working, for someone, or if you have your own business for your customers. Right. But then you want to win your day.
Right, absolutely.
You want to win your day. Yeah,
you don't want to lose your day to conflict.
Right, you don't want to lose your day to conflict. And after you had that conflict and process it and come back after winning your day, you can resolve it. You can sit down and have a talk about, okay, what can we do to not, have this happen again. And when you do that, take ownership. And what I mean by that is both sides have to take ownership and say, what can I do for this not to happen again?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it is a responsibility of us.
Right.
Not because don't think, and it's always 50-50. We found that if one couple is feeling kind of down or frustrated with the relationship, you better bet the other partner is too. They might not say anything, but they're feeling the same feelings of some type of disconnect or some devaluement or of some sort. So you do have to have ownership and you have to be accountable of what you do. I remember I was thinking about a couple we had and they came to see us, and they were upset because he said, she just keeps on, just gets nagging at me, getting at me. And she's like, well, I want him to understand. I just want him to understand. I was like, no, you can't do that. Right. And he told us, well, I went in the bathroom and I locked the door, and she got a screwdriver and tried to get in the bathroom just to make him hear her. It's like, no, you can't do that. You're building up the fire in the conflict zone. You're building it up. You're adding fuel to the fire. You got to settle it down. You got to not say you want to go in there and stick and stay. So, life is about choices. And the first choice is to have your relationship with God and make sure that you're on the front of the line as being the best and honoring your partner as your partner honors you. And that you circle can bring that us circle to life. So that's all I have to say, honey. You want to close us out?
That's it?
That's it.
That's it? You sure? Oh, I know you got more in there.
I do, but I'll hold it.
You hold it? Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So you can close us out, babe.
Yeah. So I guess we want to talk about the book that we have coming out.
Well, we'll talk about the book coming up later. So we just want to tell them that that's what we got for staying out the conflict zone.
Okay, that's about the conflict zone. What about the free gift?
You got one?
Yeah, what free gift we want to give to our listeners?
Whatever you say, babe.
Okay, I like Longhorns.
This is
listen, yes. So we're going to be giving our one lucky couple listening to our broadcast here a free gift. I guess we're still working on what that is, but if you want to call us at our office to get that free gift, we're going to pick one of the callers who call to get that free gift, and we're going to pick one, and if you're that lucky caller, you will win the free gift from the Mcknights with Better One, Better Two Relationship Academy and an Empowerment Center. There you have it.
Okay. You got it, baby. We thank you so much for listening to us. We pray all is well, all is good for you and your family, and that God shines upon you all and understand that you're not in this by yourself, and we're all together. And the phone number to call, he made the statement. I didn't know about that. It'll be a free gift, or it can be a consultation with us, whichever you decide. And the phone number is 770-912-8313.
Yep. And again, that number is 770. Was it 813? No, 912-8313.
See how they need us? You put it out there. Okay. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate it.
Love you.
Y'all have a good one. Bye.